In the development of the consciousness, it's extremely important that we develop our daily agenda. During the interview with the media that we had today, we strongly emphasized that in order to acquire social peace, we first need to have this interior peace within ourselves. Otherwise, we cannot achieve such task. Precisely, tomorrow we are going to have a very interesting workshop, which I recommend you bring your boyfriend or your girlfriend, husband or wife, or your friends. We are going to cover a very interesting topic because if we are at home, do not have an equilibrium or peace, this is going to be reflected in our society. If as individuals we do not have nor experience harmony, it is going to be very difficult to accomplish this harmony with our partner. If our home becomes a battlefield, our children likewise will learn this dysfunctional behavior. If our children do not develop a healthy identity state, they can easily on the streets become part of a gang or delinquency. And this is why it is necessary to understand that in order to reach equilibrium and harmony at a society's level, we all have to participate and intervene. The wars that take place in the battlefields are small in comparison with the discord that we experience in our homes. We think that because we live in a disposable world in which we dispose a large amount of items, we likewise believe that we can dispose a relationship between a couple. According to the statistics, when a couple is unable to communicate, the majority or more than 70% of the individuals who get divorced remarry and divorce again, blaming his or her partner. In fact, some of these individuals, they do it even for a third time. At the present time, when we see the statistics of what is taking place in the world, especially in first world countries of major development, we can observe that more than 60 years have gone by since the beginning of the feminine liberation movement. At the beginning of this movement, the woman believed that in order to be liberated, she had to behave like a man. You smoke, I will also smoke. You drink, I will also drink. You use drugs, I will also use drugs. A woman also believed that getting pregnant curtailed her liberty. As a result, an enormous birth control movement began. In the majority of the European community and the first world countries, the death rate began to be greater compared to the birth rate. The number of elderly people in these countries increased. According to The Economist, in order to support a retired individual, it takes 7 individuals to work. Despite the fact that individuals pay their taxes and work for 65 years, if there is no labor force, it is impossible to support the economy. What happened is that the mortality rate increased significantly and the birth rate decreased. As a result, schools began to close because there were no children to attend these institutions. Teachers were not needed, and this affected the economy significantly. Consequently, these countries from the European community opened their borders so people from other countries, such as Yugoslavia, Africa, and others, could enter the European community. In this way, a great amount of labor force was able to enter into these countries. Likewise, the United States received a great amount of Chileans when the people from Chile were experiencing a dictatorship type of government. Many scholars and scientists immigrated to the United States. Also, when El Salvador suffered the effects of the guerrilla warfare and when the South American countries began having problems with the economies, numerous people emigrated to the United States. the number of Brazilians in the United States increased. It is very interesting to observe these global changes that had taken place. The citizens from these European countries for many years stopped reproducing themselves. When the women began attending the universities and getting their master's and PhD degrees and became part of the labor force of the country, they came to an age in which they began experiencing a tremendous loneliness because no wealth or material possessions were fulfilling. As a result, women have the need to share and the need for companionship, but it was too late because they had expended most of their time with their career and their profession. Because of these, a large amount of pets were adopted to fill up the emptiness that these individuals were experiencing. If someone did not have a dog, she had a cat. If someone did not have a parrot, she had a monkey, and so on. The Census of Investigation decided to conduct a study in the city of Madrid. For a whole year, the dog's excrement was collected from the streets. The results from this study were alarming. When the people in charge of this study discovered that millions and millions of tons of excrement were being picked up from the streets and that this excrement was contaminating the air. The most amazing thing now is that we have veterinary psychologists for dogs and cats. According to the psychologists, this problem with the pets was extremely severe, in which the dog feels as if he is the owner of the home and the owner of the individual. We can observe the behavior of the individual who is experiencing tremendous loneliness, that instead of sharing and seeking companionship with the human element, this individual decided to share and found companionship with the animal kingdom. When these highly developed countries identified the problem, these countries began to increase the opportunities for couples who wanted to have children by providing a monthly amount of 500 or 600 euros as an incentive so couples could have children. When this type of legislations are approved, you can now observe that a woman that has a newborn child can stop working for the first year and a half, receiving her full salary, so she can nurse and take care of the child. After the period of 1 year and a half, the male then can stop working for another year and a half, also receiving his full salary. So when the child is 3 or 4 years old, the child then can begin to attend a child care place and then a preschool. The study revealed that if the family was broken or separated, this could create a great deal of chaos. When speaking of the development of the consciousness, it is crucial to understand the work that we need to do within ourselves. Tonight, we are going to cover some information at a deeper level because our objective is to entice you to come back tomorrow to the workshop. One of the subjects that I had mentioned to you is regarding the 7 centers of the body. These energetic centers have a primary relationship with the internal secretional glands. And one of the main centers is represented by the pineal gland. According to the yogic tradition, the individual who is able to develop his 7 energetic centers reaches what is called the Buddhic state, the Krishna state, or what corresponds in the Catholic Church as the Christ state. In order to reach this higher level of consciousness, it is imperative that the glands of the individual function correctly. It is for this reason that the ovaries and the vagina in the woman have to be in a perfect state of equilibrium with nature. The testicles in the male likewise have to function perfectly. It is said that the sexual energy is something sacred and that it needs to be preserved. When the male and the female waste the sexual energy, They are annihilated because they are going to live as a vegetable. The individual can have a great amount of material possessions and wealth, but when the individual does not have the faculty of transmutation or transformation, then the individual has an enormous limitation and a blockage. If I have a headache and I take Tylenol or any other analgesic, the pain from the headache is going to stop, but this does not mean that the problem has been eliminated. So the problem later on is going to worsen.